Hi, I'm Kristen, author of The Age of the Child.
Hi, I'm Isabel, founder and firebrand of the Uprising Spark.
Hi, I'm Lenora. I'm the creator of The Bitchy Bookkeeper, and we are the 3 founding non-mothers of Childfree Girls. In this episode, we're going to be discussing tokophobia, and we are going to be discussing what are the best things about being child-free at our ages. But first, we want to kind of check in and see how we're all doing with this lovely coronavirus that has shut down the world. So, who wants to start with what's day-to-day life for you? Okay, Isabel, you're in Colombia. What's the situation there for you right now?
We are all under mandatory quarantine. So there's only like a few exceptions. We can go out to, if we need to buy like groceries or to go to the pharmacy or to go to the hospital. That's basically it.
Wow.
And I can go out and take Euro out if he wants to pee. He usually does that like 5 times per day. But I can only be out like for about 20 minutes or so, not longer than that. So,
is there policing? Like, are there people walk the
I was going to
streets?
ask that. Like, how do they know if you're out there 20 minutes? Is it like, you know how they put marks on tires sometimes in a limited parking spot? Do they just like chalk your forehead?
No, I don't. I mean, yesterday I was walking the dog and the police car was just like cruising very slowly down my street. And all I could think of was, oh my God, I hope they don't stop me and ask me how long I've been out because I have absolutely no idea. But I could point my building from where I was, so it wasn't that far away. I don't know how they're policing people that go out with their dogs. I have no idea.
It's not like in India where they're hitting people. I've seen that on the news here. They're hitting people. Yes, they're actually, yesterday on the news, it was showing people were getting beaten with sticks and stuff for being on their mopeds and in cars, and it's crazy. They're literally cracking down on people over there.
Was it police hitting them with?
It was police. It was police. Police hitting people.
Because if it were citizens doing it, I could almost see that. Because like it's tempting if you see people gathering to just be like, "Go home! What are you doing?
Exactly."
Yeah. Yesterday, I saw a video. I think it was in El Salvador. The policemen were gathering people that they were like catching outside without like a proper reason to be outside. And they would like make them put their hands behind their head and march in a line and like repeat after them, like, I won't go out of my house. I won't go out of my, like marching through the whole neighborhood. Like,
oh, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. Wow. It's like a movie scene. That's crazy.
No, so the whole thing is real, to be honest.
It is. So Kristen, you just finished wiping down your groceries.
Yeah. Well, my day-to-day life hasn't really been affected because I spend a lot of time at home anyway. And we only recently in my state started, like they only recently made it so that only essential businesses could be open. I was happy that liquor stores were one of those businesses. And I was confused to see on the list guns and ammo stores were considered essential. I'm a little concerned about that. But one of the things I learned the other day, I saw this website online, or this link online, and the title is, it's at rocketcitymom.com, and the title is, "This doctor shows us how to sanitize groceries, and it's very useful," and in parentheses, "and terrifying." And I think they only mean it's terrifying because this stuff could be on your groceries. But I watched it, and I followed every single guideline to the best of my ability. I'm not a doctor. I'm not trained in sanitation. But I'm not kidding, it took me 2 hours to sanitize groceries to last us maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks. And that included like putting chips in a Ziploc bag instead of wiping down the whole thing. But every single grocery item that could be wiped down with some sort of sanitizing cloth was wiped down. And by the time I was done, I was ready for a beer. And because I only recently finished, I have my beer here and I'm enjoying it immensely.
That's great. I need one of those, actually. I have no alcohol at home. Actually, that's not true. That's not true. I need some of that too.
Crazy. Well, the only thing that's really changed for me is that I watch our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau every morning around 9:15 address the nation. He even does this on Saturdays and Sundays, actually, ever since. It's been about 2 weeks now, because he's in self-isolation right now. His wife has the virus, so he's been addressing Canadians from the door of his house when he ventures out. And that's kind of been, and I'm like you, Kristen, I stay home most of the time anyways. It's just been going out to get groceries. But it's been adding Justin Trudeau to my morning routine of coffee and watching the news. I never used to watch the news before, but since this is really, the last 3 weeks, I have been watching the morning news, the noon news, and then the evening news, and then like the 11 o'clock news just to catch up. And I've been following the mayor of my city and the premier of my province on Twitter, because that's where I trust the actual information to come from. Like you can't follow what's going on Facebook or use Facebook as an example of what you should and shouldn't do, in my opinion. So that is the thing that's changed, is that I've actually been following local politicians to get my, what are you? Sorry, Kristen did something. She looks like she's smoking. I don't know what's happening.
She's vaping. Is that what?
It's not. It's nothing interesting like THC. It's just a very low nicotine vape. But I do vape when I have a beer, so I'm sorry. At least you can't smell it.
We've just learned something completely new about Kristen, I think. I don't know. Yeah. Everyone who's listening to the podcast is like, okay, where can I watch this video now? It's on YouTube, by the way. So we're still here. So we're all in our houses and watching news and that sort of thing. So we'll see how this goes. This is a really interesting time for all of us. We've never really experienced anything like this. So
we're living in the curse. The curse is, may you live in interesting times, and somebody.
I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely. I want to know though, did someone end up ringing the doorbell?
Oh. Okay, so that was funny. Okay, so the first time that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who's Prime Minister of Canada, where I live, for all of you who don't know, he gave his first address to the nation in the morning. It was scheduled for 9 o'clock, was breaking news, so everything was interrupted, and everybody waited for 30 minutes for him to come out. And this was when things, like 2 weeks ago, nobody really knew what was going on. But anyway, so I was on Twitter, because I was watching the feed on Twitter, and someone left the comment and said, because this was going to be happening from his house, someone said, does someone want to go up and ring the doorbell? And it was like the best thing I've ever seen on Twitter. It was so funny. And yeah, he was 30 minutes late. He's been more punctual since, but I think because everyone was freaking out about the borders and things being shut down, that he was probably on the phone. But it was a really funny joke, because for 30 minutes, all we saw was the Prime Minister's front door and nothing. And it's interesting time to listen to your politicians, but he's telling everyone to stay home. So, well, I don't. Well, most of us are familiar with Trump. I have no idea who leads Colombia. Okay. Let's move on to our actual topic. In this episode, we're going to be talking about tokophobia. It's not talked about a lot, but there are a few things. Okay, first of all, what is it? It's a fear of pregnancy and childbirth. According to some medical sites, there isn't a whole lot of information about it actually, but there's a primary one, which is someone who has never given birth before and has a fear of pregnancy, a fear of childbirth, a fear of harming oneself, harming the baby. And then there's a secondary tokophobia, which is someone who has already given birth and has develops a fear later on to giving birth again for whatever reasons. I don't know what is either of yours experience with this. Is it something that's relevant to you? I know there are some people that choose to be child-free only because they do fear getting pregnant. I mean, there's a lot to unpack here. So if either of you have a story, personal tale to tell on this topic.
I don't know if it was tokophobia, but when I never wanted kids anyway, so it's not like a fear of pregnancy led me to not want kids. But when I was married the first time, and I think I was probably around 20 or 21, I was sitting in a room on the floor with my friend, and we were getting high. And while I was high, I had this intense, absolute certainty feeling that I would die in childbirth. And I don't have, and you could easily chalk it up to paranoia. You could chalk it up to paranoia combined with a desire to not have children. But I had been getting high for a couple of years by that point, and I didn't experience paranoia as a result of smoking pot. So that wasn't a normal thing. But I was absolutely convinced that if I got pregnant and gave birth, I would die in childbirth. And I've only had another feeling that certain before in my whole life. And that was when my dad was in the ICU. He was on a breathing tube. He had to be in an induced coma after after a diverticulitis explosion. And I was freaking out for like a week or two while I was in his apartment. And then out of nowhere, I just had this sudden knowledge that he was going to be fine. And as soon as I felt that, I didn't worry about him at all. And he was pulled out of the coma. He healed and he was completely recovered. I mean, I just knew, and I don't know how I knew, I just knew. And that's how strong that feeling of dying in childbirth felt. But I don't have, like, some people talk about tokophobia and they kind of use it as if it explains why they look at pregnant bellies and think it's disgusting, and I don't know if that's related. I think some people just, I don't have thoughts. I don't know what that is. But from everything I've read, it's just a phobia, a fear of childbirth, a fear of, pregnancy, a fear of the pain, a fear of hurting the baby, like an actual fear. And I don't even know why it's a phobia, because it's perfectly rational. It's like saying, I'm afraid of getting surgery. Well, clearly you're phobic. No, I really just don't want to do it because you could give me a disease or a bacteria, or I could get that flesh-eating disease in the post-surgical situation. It's just a scary thing. Why wouldn't you be scared?
Exactly. That's reading comments. Like, there was a few videos on this topic on YouTube, and just the few conversations that I have seen, that's the thing. It's like, it's something that it really shouldn't be a phobia, because why do you have to overcome it? If you don't want kids, you don't want kids. It's something that, it seems like there should be a cure for it, or it seems unrational. I've seen the word used, irrational or unreasonable.
Because that's what a phobia is, because phobias are irrational.
But like you said, it's not unreasonable at all. There was the one source that I wanted to quote, and I'm not going to, because the doctor that wrote up this article on this topic used the word unreasonable and unreasonable fear. And I thought, well, that's unfair. I personally think it's unfair. I find it, everything about, I'm not good with bodily fluids. It's not even tokophobia. It's just gross. Like, the thought of breastfeeding makes me ill. Like, personally, I can watch people do it. It doesn't bother me. Seeing pregnant people doesn't bother me. But the thought of having to go through it myself, having my cervix open just a little bit for the IUD installation, I call it, hurt like hell. Like, I can't, all of it. I don't even, I'm glad I don't have my period anymore with this thing, because that grossed me out. Like, I don't think that's tokophobia, but every aspect about pregnancy grosses me out personally. So
I hadn't heard about tokophobia until fairly recently. And, when I started getting into the forums of child-free forums and child-free groups on Facebook, and some people were talking about being tokophobic, I was like, I know there's a lot of different types of phobias. Regarding tokophobia, for me, is I don't understand it, because I'm really not, I wouldn't call myself tokophobic. Like, I don't have an issue with anything that has to do with surgery or, my body being put under, or, but I understand that it is very real for some people. Like, I get that some people would, face that type of fear. And if they decided to become child-free, and that's one of the reasons, then that's completely valid. It's fine. But I don't really understand it, to be honest, just because I don't feel it.
I was just looking up whether I was trying to find, and I didn't finish. Today was a really crazy, wild, busy day, thanks to sanitizing groceries. But I was trying to find something about whether people who want children experience that, like if they desperately want kids, but they're afraid of pregnancy and or childbirth. But I didn't get that far yet.
I did see 2 or 3 videos on YouTube on this topic from women who do want to, and they were talking about adoption, for example. Like them and their partners decided they wanted to have kids, but because they were tokophobic, they decided, okay, let's try adoption, for example. And actually there are videos on apparent cures or talking yourself, like therapy for this as well. There's two things I was kind of curious under this topic. The first one, and I saw a lot of these comments also, people avoiding sex and relationships out of fear of becoming pregnant. Now, this is something that I can kind of relate to personally, not because I'm tokophobic, like I wouldn't say that I am, but I purposely only choose people that cannot get me pregnant if I'm going to have a sexual relationship. That has always been a big thing for me. And I will totally cop to avoiding a lot of relationships because I don't want to. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
That makes total sense to me. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's interesting. I mean, I understand that because I used to, like, I actually put off sex for a very long time because of that. You know, all my friends were like having sex by the time they were 16, and I only, I lost my virginity, which is also completely, made up concept by society. But the first time I had sex with penetration, with possibility of pregnancy, I was 23.
Oh, you were almost as old as I was.
Man,
I didn't know that. Okay, cool. I avoided
that for 7 years because I was like, I'm not fucking gonna get pregnant. I'm like, there's no fucking way. And of course, when you're a teenager, you can have sex, with whomever or whenever. Everyone's doing it. I didn't want to. Then after that, I'm not gonna say I became reckless, but I kind of did. But for me, it was like, it doesn't matter. I mean, I was, of course, taking some necessary precautions. But for me, that wasn't, yes, if I get pregnant, then, well, I don't know. But remember, there was a time when I thought I wanted kids too.
Right. I was going to say, was this before you actually, okay, how has it changed for you since you have officially become child-free? Like, you're public about it now. Has your take changed? I mean, of course, you've had your tubes tied too, so there's that.
I think I'm of course more mature now. When I was in my 20s, I was completely immature and reckless and just, so since I came to terms with the fact that I really didn't want to have kids, and I'm completely vocal about it now, and I realized that it wasn't my choice or my desire to have children. It was something that I was mostly being, it was mostly being imposed on me, basically. I have not been reckless at all. Like first I was like, okay, really taking care of myself, really going, we need to understand what it is that needs to be done in order for me to not become pregnant. And then I got my tubes tied. And now, even with my tubes tied, I still take other types of, I still use preservatives. I still use condoms, for example. It's not only about getting pregnant, it's also about not getting STIs now.
Exactly, yeah. I'm the same way with the IUD. Like, I sleep better. I mean, I don't seek out relationships anyway, but I will say, sorry, Kristen. I just haven't seen it. It's just like this coronavirus is making us do like really weird things.
It's funny that she's actually hiding from the camera. It's like, cut you out. Don't worry about it. Keep on smoking. Vape.
Yeah, sorry. It's just funny. I don't know. My image of Kristen is changing. Yeah, don't smoke in the house.
I used to smoke cigarettes, and now it's only vaping, only with like a beer or a glass of wine. So
yeah, I've been a smoker off and on, but they've banned menthol in Canada for years now. So only if I get to the stage, which is not going to be happening anytime soon.
I also smoked for a very long time. I actually quit smoking only like 4 years ago. Yeah. 4 or 5 years ago, I stopped smoking. I started smoking when I was 15.
Me too.
I started smoking. The first thing I smoked was Lucky Strike, the normal ones. But then it was menthol. And from then onwards, it was just menthol. Like, I was a fucking grown-up person smoking menthol cigarettes.
I started when I was 16 too. My parents were driving me nuts. They put me in therapy and I started smoking. So our topic of what are the best things about being child-free at our age, but still talking about the smoking thing. Now, a few years ago, let's see, my youngest nephew, he was 4, so it's about 5 years ago, and when I could still smoke menthol cigarettes, I decided to have a play date with my youngest nephew. I took him in the car and we would go to the park. And at that point, I think I had ended a relationship, so I was smoking regularly, but not publicly. I just kind of do it in secret. And I really wanted to have a cigarette, but my little nephew was in the car. So that is one of the great things about being child-free is on road trips, I can smoke in the car. Mind you, I can't because I can't get the cigarettes I want. But that is something that I really appreciate not having kids, is that I could driving through the mountains, have my music turned up, no one in the vehicle with me, I can light a cigarette.
Well, I want to go back really quick to the not having kids and therefore avoiding sex. One of my husbands didn't want to wear a condom anymore. And I had stopped taking the pill because I didn't like the whole cancer risk. I didn't like it messing with my body. I just thought, if there's something we can do that affects nobody's biology, let's do that. And he decided he didn't want to wear one particular evening. So I said, okay, well, then we're not going to do this because I do not want to get pregnant, because he would give me all kinds of trouble if I wanted an abortion. And he was not happy about that at all, which led to a very uncomfortable situation. But I completely understand the desire to sex becomes really unappealing if there's a fear of pregnancy, at least for me, because there's abortion, but I don't want to go through an abortion. I don't want to have an abortion. I had to have a LEAP procedure one time, and that's where they use some kind of heated instrument to shave off a section of your cervix. And it was just awful. And so anything even remotely more painful than the cramps that came after that and the invasion I felt of someone touching my inner body organ, no. So if there is potential for pregnancy, sex loses all appeal.
I agree. Even now, even though with the condom, IUD, this only goes for men, for me with men. Sex with IUD and condom, even still in the back of my mind, I'm like, maybe throw on a vasectomy on top of that. And also I give myself great orgasms, so whatever.
Yeah.
It's just naked cuddle's good. Naked cuddling is fine.
There's really nothing sexier than a man who's like, I want to get a vasectomy. Or I've gotten a vasectomy. It's like, oh yeah.
I actually think
let's throw down right now.
I kind of feel like I'll hit my sexual peak after menopause, because then it's official. It's like done. I don't know. It does.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Wait, just before we go any further, for people who are listening, I need to comment on Lenora's hair.
Oh,
because Lenora is wearing a really wonderful short bob with bangs, bright pink wig that you might be able to picture on Nicki Minaj.
Totally. Yes, absolutely. I've had this for a long time. Well, this was your idea, so I decided I'm going to start wearing wigs in episodes, whether it's podcast or web series, because I feel very comfortable that way, and then I'm not focused on my hair. Because
you like them. I mean, you have.
I love them. And normally this time I would be preparing for the Comic Expo in my city, because I go every year, usually for the weekend, and it's canceled, obviously, because everything's canceled. So I'm just going to wear wigs for the rest of time when I'm on screen. When I'm on screen, because you know what? They're fun. And part of why we're doing this is to kind of give ourselves a platform to be ourselves. And I realize I have not been as flashy and sparkly as I actually am in my normal hanging around the house. So I'm going to bring that to the series, whether you see it or not. So yes, I'm really liking the pink. It's bright. I love it. It makes me happy.
Right now, like cleaning your house with this feather boa and like a little.
Oh, and like a maid's uniform or a maid's outfit?
Well, no. Well,
is that too far? One step too far?
That's too much clothing, because I get hot easy. So usually I'm wearing very little, even though I live in Canada and it's cold because I live on the prairies. So, what I'm wearing right now is more clothing than I generally wear. And I'm not wearing any bottoms. I'm just wearing this long, it covers my ass, but that's what it is. So that's a secret. If you see any of these videos, I'm never wearing anything below the waist.
I'm always wearing jeans. Jeans are like, I must have 20 pairs of jeans. That's all I wear, unless they're like little black pants or something. But I do not get creative with my pants.
Yeah.
I don't own pants. I refuse to own pants. So.
I don't know. Jeans are the best. Come on.
Okay, so now to the second topic we want to discuss is what are the best things about being child-free at our current ages? Specifically, how has your perception and your perspective changed from a 20-year-old child-free you to current age child-free you? What do you appreciate more maybe that you didn't know about in your 20s? Isabel?
There's so much. But you know what? I think I have appreciated most of these things since like forever, which is basically my independence, sleep, the fact that I can eat whenever I want, whatever I want, you know. The thing I think now at my 36-year-old, almost 37, turning 37 next month, I think the thing I can appreciate the most is the fact that I have money to do a lot more stuff now than when I was in my 20s, of course. Like when you're in your 20s, you're broke. You're a student, you're just starting your career. I don't know. And I wasn't really child-free at that time. I wasn't concerned about having children either, but I wasn't really child-free. Or I thought I wasn't. But now it's like, I'm like a kid in a candy store, you know, with a bunch of money. That's how I feel. And I get a lot of expensive adult toys. And by adult toys, I don't mean...
Hey, well,
How expensive are they? What are they?
I mean, you know, like adult gadgets, basically. That's
you did tell me about Julius the other day.
Julius. That was a really good investment. Julius is my vibrator, whoever is listening to this. I don't need a man. I just need Julius.
This is a strange thing to mention after talking about Julius, but your dog Euro is being so cute behind you. He's playing with a little black stuffed animal or something, just adorably.
Yeah, it's the same one. But he's actually trying to catch my attention because it's his feeding time.
Oh.
He's on a diet right now, so he needs to wait a little bit more. But he's a little bit annoyed, basically.
Oh. And so is that what he does? He plays with his toy when he's like, Mom.
Yeah, and he comes around, like he's been around me. He puts his little, like his face on top of my legs. He looks at me with those little puppy eyes, like, me. I'm just trying to tell him, listen, I'm in the middle of something. I'll feed you later. So this is one thing we're going to talk about pets.
We are. As I'm sitting here rolling my eyes, I'm like, oh my God, you guys and your pets, please. I'm going to go over and play with my shoes. And when you guys are done talking about this, I'm going to come back.
I have so much to say about this, but yeah. You know,
tune in next episode.
However, I do have to say now that during this quarantine craziness, surreal thing that we're all going through, it's been like the best companionship I could ever wish for.
Yeah,
I'm happy for you. I truly am.
I don't think you are.
I'm happy for you with our blasé look. Like I'm happy for you.
I can't possibly understand until I have a pet of my own, apparently.
And when you do, you'll love it. You might
Which is not going to be happening anytime soon.
But when the pet is your own, you really find that you love it. And if
any listeners out there can save me right now, please.
Different when it's yours.
Every woman wants a pet. Every woman.
Also, like if you haven't had them, you really cannot know what it is, the love of a pet.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Oh, I should be moderating next episode as well because that whole topic, I'll be like, okay. Yeah, moving. Kristen, what's your best thing about your child-free experience?
The perspective change between 20 and now. I am now, in June, I'm turning 46. So I guess I'm officially over 45 and a half. If we're still doing halves. When do you stop doing that? What age do you stop saying and a half?
When you're at 5, basically.
I
Okay, 5.
think
12 I'm 45 and 3/4. When I was 20, my perspective on being child-free was, quite frankly, I don't want to. What scared me was the future and seeing that possibility in it. And it just, all I felt was dread because I was still at 20 in the, in a first marriage, children just becoming a reality or an expectation, and my having to recognize, oh, so this is actually something people want, and this is actually something I'm supposed to do, and this is something I'm supposed to want to do, and everything in me is saying, no, I don't want to do this. And so it was a combination of feeling defensive and angry and rebellious for some reason, for not, like, I just had all these, I would, at the time, had I known the unfortunate terms like reader and crotch goblin, and I think someone shared a new one on Facebook today that was like, oh God, something dumpling. I don't know. Either way, gross. Something dumpling. But I might have been angry enough or felt defensive enough to do that. So it was all really just a fear of my future and a fear of the pressure and wanting to avoid it. And now, so that I could live my life between 20 and say 45. I wanted the life I wanted. I didn't know what life I wanted. I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I did know that I wanted to do whatever the hell I wanted to do. And I wanted to be able to change my mind, and I wanted to be able to bounce around. You know, I don't like commitment. Remember, I've been married 3 times. Yeah. So back then it was just a fear of later. And now, aside from the fact that it probably would have taken another 2 hours to sanitize groceries for my husband, me, and a child or children, which would mean I'd still be sanitizing my groceries now.
And you wouldn't be doing this show.
I wouldn't be doing the show for sure. No. You know what? If I had accidentally had a kid and then maybe had to keep it, I think I would still want to be here, because it's important to have a choice and to communicate that everyone should have a choice, and I would still be child-free in spirit.
Well, in my dream where you were pregnant, you said you were going to continue on with this show and just not tell our audience that you were.
Well, I would. You can't get rid of me, because in that little contract that we all made together, there's no clause about pregnancy or childbirth.
Oh, jeez.
Right. We forgot.
I never even thought about that. Okay, who's going to get on that?
But I am glad now at 45 to not have kids. I just don't want to. I just like not having kids. That's it. I mean, I just like not having them, period.
I think a lot of child-free people right now are kind of celebrating because despite of what's going on in this world, and we're seeing people post, parents posting on social media, and even talking with my own brother, and both of his kids are home, and I text with my nephews, and just my brother still is going to work as his business, the company he works for is considered essential, but just everyone's inside and the off school, and it's a very different experience. And I can imagine those who wanted families or said they wanted kids, suddenly the reality of, okay, we're home all the time, because you can't ship your kids off to grandma and grandpa or auntie right now. Like, I'm not taking my nephews at all because I'm locked down. So, there's the reality that no one's ever really dealt with. And
our weatherman here, you just made me think of our weatherman. All of our news people are at home, just like they're doing on the national shows. They're like broadcasting from home. And our local weatherman is broadcasting from some room in his house. And he has like a spouse living there, and I'm not sure how many kids he has, but he just looks worse every single day. And Ian the other day said, I don't think he's going to make it.
Well, there's a joke that divorces are going to go up, and, people are wanting to social distance from their own families.
Well, there's been a lot of posting online. I'm sure you've seen this, people with kids posting things like, people who don't have children don't know how good they have it. And we're like, yes.
Actually, yes, we do.
Actually do. We know this.
Totally.
But you know what? What you just mentioned, you just made me think about something about, the rate of divorce. And I've been reading in a lot of parts that domestic violence has been skyrocketing, basically.
I have tried not to think about that. I've tried not to think about anybody who's in a volatile household, to include, spouses, children, and pets. I just feel bad for anybody under the threat from that kind of person in these. I can't even think about it.
Well, it's hard because, I mean, a lot of people, I'm going to say the majority of people are stressed financially. I mean, even if you're still working, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's uncertainties that we don't even comprehend or know about yet. Like right now, it's just kind of protecting the world and everyone's staying inside. But afterwards, what's going to happen? When is this going to, like, nobody knows anything. So it's such an uncertain time. And I mean, more than ever, I'm really grateful that I made this choice because, I mean, my life is just as uncertain as everybody else's, but at least I'm actually happy. You know, like I can still do what I can work on my dreams still from home, and
well, you don't have the
I still feel free. Yeah, well,
so you have to go grocery shopping. You had to find toilet paper. Could you imagine? So worrying about yourself is one thing. You're like, okay,
yeah.
I eat today, I'll deal with it. But if you have kids to feed, I mean, you're desperately, genuinely concerned about their health and well-being. And if you have the pressure of their well-being and their financial stability and everything on top of that, and maybe fear of homelessness, and
well, that's just it. Because I have had moments of panic or an anxiety with the financial situation, with just like, well, yesterday was the first time I found toilet paper in 3 weeks, and it was good because it was getting a little bit low for me. And I was like, all right. So yeah, you know, people accuse childcare people of being self-absorbed, but look, you have to take care of yourself. So I have experienced, I normally don't experience anxiety, but I definitely have. And I'm like, wow, I am so grateful. And this is something that, to answer the question I've asked you two, this is something that I appreciate now at the age of 37 that I didn't even think about at the age of 22 when I realized I did not want to have children, is that I have the space physically and emotionally to look after myself, to work through anxiety, to work through those panic attacks that, you know, current situation has brought on to me. It's not a part of my normal everyday life, but it has come up. And I've had to really work through inwardly. And I'm like, man, I'm so grateful that I have the space to do it. Like, no one needs me for anything. I can have a complete meltdown in my house. No one's going to knock on the door. Like, I can do that because I'm someone that needs that space to do something about
but
it.
you
like,
don't need toilet paper as a child-free person, because apparently, according to one of the child-free,
are you trying to piss me off?
Yeah, on one of the child-free pages that I follow on Facebook, someone posted a screenshot of something her friend, who's a mother, had shared on Facebook, and it was something like, you know, if you don't have kids, you don't need toilet paper. Just use like washcloths or something.
Oh my God.
What?
Okay.
Why don't we get to use toilet paper just because we don't? What people keep forgetting is that we are someone's children. Our parents want us to have toilet paper.
Yes, that's a good point.
They really do.
Okay, well, I'm going to say I have 2 packs of baby wipes. I have 3 bathrooms here. 2 of them contain a package of baby wipes each.
Well, don't flush them.
Well, of course not.
Yeah, that's
I'm not a child.
I know, but in this country, I don't know how it is over there, but in this country, they have had to flush out and clean out and like dredge
I've heard that
because all these idiots are flushing everything you're not supposed to flush.
Well, I had to tell my oldest nephew once, who was staying, because when my nephews were coming over, I had to tell them, don't flush the baby wipes, because they didn't know that. But no, I don't flush the baby wipes. But I do have packages of them because, well, I like to use them. And
well, good.
Anyone has a problem with that? I'm not going to tell you where I live, but
that would be a weird problem to have.
Well, that is all for today's episode. Thank you for watching, and thank you for listening. If you are listening to us on the podcast, you can reach us if you'd like to email any comments, questions, ask us whatever, topic suggestions. You can email us at childfreegirls@gmail.com.
We're also very active on social media, especially on Instagram and Facebook. You can find us at Childfree Girls. We're also on Twitter, TikTok sometimes, and
Pinterest.
Pinterest, yes, and Pinterest.
And we had our own coronavirus experiences today. We had me trying to sanitize groceries for 2 hours. We had Lenora finally finding toilet paper. And then Isabel was getting chalk marks on her forehead if she was out longer than 20 minutes. So what was your coronavirus experience today? Leave it in the comments below. Below, down there.